Hello Virgo friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video, Virgo February 2021 Astrology Must Knows. Also welcome if you are watching this in my new syndicated podcast version of my YouTube videos, which you can find through Astro Kisses with Annie Botticelli. Okay, so Virgo, let's talk about the things to celebrate this month and the things to look out for. We've got 6 must-knows for Virgo, so I'm just going to go in order. The first thing that Virgo placements must know is that Mercury is going retrograde. Mercury actually went retrograde January 30th, but this whole month of February is covered in it. So the major must know here is that open time where we had this window between the end of November, all of December, and the first half of January of 2021 was wide open for pushing forward, making up for lost time, your launches, your big decisions, all of those things. Come the middle of January, we started sliding back into retrograde mode, and February is covered in that. So what that means is that plans that you've made in this time are likely to change. Plans that you've made for the future may be called into question. It also means that there will be an increase in miscommunications and things coming back from the past to be dealt with for better or worse. This also means that the best way to navigate through this is to try to keep this month scheduled very light. One of the reasons why you want to schedule it light is because there will be very likely magical last minute things that you can jump on if you had time and open space to do it. One of the positive things about Mercury retrograde is that it often brings kind of random last minute, like, hey, you want to do this? You want to go here? Let's do this. And those can work out really well. It actually favors those last minute type of things more than it does things that are planned. And anything you did plan may not work out. And if it does work out, it may be changed or a different version of what you thought it would be. Okay, so schedule yourself light, be flexible, be ready for last minute magic, and be ready to kind of go back over launches or other things that you've done recently or in the past. Dust off old projects to breathe life back into them, clear out clutter, anything that has to do with basically things closer to you. It's not as much of a time for like launching your big things out in the world. Hey, I'm going to do all these things and be all these things and all this. Everything just gets more close to you at this time, your immediate environment. Okay, so that's the first must know. The second must know is we've got a Mars yay for Virgo because as of January, Mars started moving through Taurus. And of course, as we've talked about before, and I will talk about many times again in the future, whenever we have a planet moving through an earth sign, that's always great for Virgo placements because it makes that astro kiss, as I call it, a 120-degree angle, which is a trine, which is the best angle in all of astrology. So those of you who are August born Virgos or 0 to, or basically August born in the first couple of days of September, or if you know your degree from 0 to around 12 degrees, you all would have gotten your kiss from Mars in January, okay? And for the rest of you from around September 2nd or so through the rest of the sign or around 13 degrees through the rest of the sign, you will be getting your Mars kiss in February. Okay, so one important admin note. This video is for you if your moon is in Virgo, if your rising is in Virgo, if your sun is in Virgo. Some people like to watch horoscopes for their Venus and Mars signs as well. And if that's the case, and you have those placements in Virgo, this is for you also. Also, if you're a late degree placement, especially if you're in the last 7 degrees or 7 days of the sign. So basically like around the 15th or 16th of September, or around 22 or 23 degrees through the rest of the sign, then I highly recommend you also watch my Libra report. And you might want to experiment with watching other horoscopes. If you watch other astrologers too, experiment, you late degree friends, with watching those Libra reports, because when you're on the cusp like that in the late degree, sometimes you'll either have more relevance in that report, or you'll have, like for your case with me, I always speak to things that are different for you. So you kind of get information in the Virgo report, but you'd also get information in the Libra report. Okay, so what does a kiss look like from Mars? Mars is the planet of action and momentum and forward movement and productivity. Mars was completely offline for half of 2020, which is part of what gave 2020 the flavor that it had. There was a complex web of aspects that made 2020 what it was, but this particular Mars retrograde, which really covered the second half of 2020, meant everything was like not moving forward. Everything was kind of stalled out. Everything was in the inner realms. And as Mars moved into Taurus in January, things that you had been working on really could have started to come out in a big way. And now that we're experiencing this Mars being in Taurus, but also in retrograde, it might mean you have to go back over some things, or it might mean that work that you've done already can start to get some results going. So, you might feel more motivated, you might feel more organized, you might feel like you've got a good plan or get insights as to how you're going to structure things differently. And that could be the kiss that comes in, or it could be something actually coming to you from something that you've done. Okay, so the third Virgo must know for February 2021 is that we are going to have a massive showing of planets in Aquarius. Now, if you've been watching my reports for a while, you know that the outer planets of Saturn and Jupiter have moved into Aquarius. And these are going to be there for a long time. But now, this month, we also have Venus, the Sun, Mercury in retrograde, all moving through Aquarius as well. Plus, we've got Pallas Athena there, so we just have a massive amount of showing in Aquarius. And what that means for Virgo is an uncomfortable angle. It's an awkward angle. It's the angle of two ships passing in the night and people on each ship trying to call to each other and it being lost in the wind. It's just this really, it's awkward is the best way I can describe it. And you will feel that. So I'm really glad that you have this Mars blessing this month, because that can help to boost as you've got this awkwardness, annoyances, just things that aren't quite matching up and things that you have to redo, details that you have to attend to. In general, Virgo doesn't mind attending to details, right? But if you have to go back over something that you've already done, Virgo does not like to waste time, right? So you might find yourself feeling like you've wasted time because you have to go back over things. Either some games or rules have changed with something that you're doing and now you have to redo it, or there was just something that came up that wasn't quite complete in the first run of whatever you were working on. But this also could be coming through the form of just the awkwardness of changing things in your life. So you might have been making changes in your life, or the transits might have brought changes to you. And sometimes we have just a little bit of a learning curve or a little bit of an awkward transition as those things get implemented. And that might be part of why you're feeling this. Now, having a very strong showing in this 6th house as you do this month, and this is true for you late degree placements too, so those of you who are September 11th through the rest of the sign, or around 19 degrees through the rest of the sign, then you all are going to have this 6th house be full for you as well. You're just going to start experiencing what I'm about to describe, possibly a little bit later in February. You might not feel it right at the beginning. Okay, but when the 6th house is accentuated, it means that there's focus on your daily work, your job, your employment, your daily experience. This could mean issues at work, or it could mean opportunities having to do with work. It could mean work projects. If you're self-employed, things could come up there. It could also just have to do with taxes. You could be, on the scramble trying to get all your taxes, your tax ducks in a row, and this would be a good time to be working on that, although it's not a good time to think you're going to have the finished product per se, because things that you're doing now might have to have some more attention when the energies are more clear. That's part of the must know about the Mercury retrograde too, and because of other aspects we're having this month. Clarity that you might have had before this month, you might kind of lose, or things could be called into question in a very major way. But do know that a lot of things that are called into question this month may actually turn out to be fine or even better than you thought they would be. Once March, April, and May get grooving, we're going to have some really great aspects in March, April, and the first half of May. So anything that you couldn't quite get launched in the open stars, or anything that just feels uncomfortable or weird now, or that seems uncertain now, there's a very good chance that will start to regulate as March, April, and May come. So you have that to look forward to. And just kind of keep that in mind if any of this awkwardness does show up for you. Also, things with your health might have to be addressed. Things might come back around, things that you had worked on before where it's like, here's this thing again. And if you need medical diagnostics and they're time sensitive, then you have to get them. But in general, if you don't have an emergency situation and you're not getting a recommendation from your doctor or an intuition otherwise, you might have a chance for more clear diagnostics into March, like a couple of weeks starting getting into March, and then April and the beginning of May, because you're not going to have that kind of questioning, murky Mercury retrograde energy interfering, because it can sometimes cause results that come in to be questioned or to be not accurate. But your health is definitely coming up for many people. And if your health is fine, this might just be deeper levels of stress management. It might be deeper levels of trying to get sleep. It might be kind of trying on or researching a diet change or some kind of supplement change or some kind of practitioner, or you might find yourself going back to old treatments or things that you did before that worked. Okay, so our fourth must know for Virgos is to mark your calendar for February 11th, because we have a new moon on that day, and of course Chinese New Year is right after that time as well. But what I'm really excited about is the Venus-Jupiter conjunction. Venus-Jupiter conjunctions tend to bring just benevolence and luck and sweet memories and things that go on that you might look back on for a very long time. So if something has to be taken care of, not that I'm recommending February for like big launches or big decisions if you can help it, but if something has to be attended to, there might be some more sweet energy around these days, like the 11th and that time. Also, there are a few more nice aspects this month than there are salty ones, so that is helpful within the general picture as well. Okay, so another must know for Virgos, our number 5 position here, is that on February 27th, we have a full moon in your sign. So whenever there's a full moon in your sign, this takes on a greater meaning. So things of more consequence might come to fruition, something you've been working on, you might see the results of, or some accolades or attention, or some drama, or something else that comes to light that has to be addressed. But, it's going to be in your sign, and that could add to the intensity for better or worse. Those of you who are closer to 8 degrees will feel this the most, or if you have any other placements within 8 degrees, you might have more than one Virgo placement. That's why I always recommend you find how to run a free birth chart online, and I am working on actually something to give access to my email newsletter people a way to run birth charts. So I don't know if this will be up by the time you're listening to this, but if I don't have it up, then you can just search for how to run a free birth chart online and just put in your birth info to see. You might have more placements than just what you're watching for, and that could help you to use the information that I give you in bigger ways, like for instance this 8 degree thing. So if you have any Virgo placements close to 8 degrees, this is going to be even more monumental for you. And we'll do a 5 degree orb in either direction, so between 3 degrees and 13 degrees. So basically that's like around August 26th or August 27th or so through the first few days in September. And the closer to around like the 30th or 31st of August, that's going to be the most intensity there. I always like to recommend doing what I call reveal and release ceremonies at full moons. And this is a particularly nice time to mention this to you all. I don't usually talk about this in the videos. I have a blog about this, but things can be revealed at full moons that are really, really hidden and can be important information. They can include things that could give you a breakthrough. They could be a different way of seeing things. It could be information that's coming from outside that's been withheld. So kind of just working with that and praying and doing whatever things, for your inner work can really help you to make the most of this full moon. And since this is your one that you get in this, 13-month cycle, you might want to do a little bit more around those days around February 27th. Okay, so the last must know is that we are going to have much more open stars in March, April, and the first half of May. I mentioned this casually before, but I'm putting it down as a major must know for Virgo, because if you have something important you have to do, if things are not quite gelling, if paperwork has come to you and things look a little fishy and you're not feeling quite right, if something has to be attended to, if something is looming and is going to have to be addressed, you will have better energy for doing a lot of things that need more clarity and oomph. You will have that more in March, April, and the first half of May. Okay, so I just want you to be aware of that in case things get a little weird this month. And they will, because the energy of Aquarius definitely rules things that are weird, and you will be feeling that for sure. Now, I'm not putting this as a must know because I actually I did a separate video on this altogether, but I do want to mention, because it is of critical importance, that we have an epic outer planet clash this month that is the first of 3 this year, which is Saturn squaring Uranus. And it's important enough that I made a separate video on it. Sometimes when we have these notable aspects, I'll weave in a little segment in the videos because more people watch the horoscopes than people who take the time to go and listen to the separate videos. But I'm going to encourage you, and for a while it's going to be following this video. And if it's not following this video, you can search for Annie Botticelli, Saturn square Uranus. And this is a major, major, major clash that's going to give a lot of tone to the year. You will see it manifesting on the global level. You'll see it manifesting on the national level down to your individual experience. And it will have to do with freedom and new novelty and innovation versus tradition. And this is a trend that I've been talking about for a while. We've had multiple clashes over the last 2020, now into 2021, that are telling this kind of same story. And we've seen it manifest in a lot of different ways. But you'll want to know as much as possible about this particular aspect because it is going to cover this entire month and be very strong. And you'll want to know as much as possible about it. Okay, so in general, this is going to be a month of inwardness, a month where I recommend you be the spider. The spider weaves its web in like the end of November, all of December, and the first half of January, right? That's our active web weaving time. And then now, the end of January, all of February really has more to do with sitting back and waiting for the food to come to you. Trying to actively do something and go out and get food and do all this stuff in February is not as well indicated, and it's not aligning with the natural rhythms of the universe, like this nice book I wrote for you called Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. All of my work is based on that premise, which is why I wrote a book about this. And this month is just not the type of month where trying to go out and get everything and make everything happen is going to be super in the flow, unless you have an intuition otherwise, and unless things happen to be flowing for you, you can follow that flow. But as soon as it starts to get crunkly, then just let that be your note to pull back. This is also a month to be the earthworm. The earthworm goes back over and over the same soil, making it really fertile for new planting and new growth. But this is the time to kind of tend to that soil quality of your life, if you will. So if you would like to have even more information about what this month could look like for you and how you can best use the energies, then definitely tap into all of the free resources I have for you. You can go to anniehelpsyou.com. Definitely sign up for my free email newsletter. Now more than ever, there are perks that come along with that, because besides getting my monthly write-up that shows the sweet and salty dates and what you can expect, what the aspects are, what you can expect from them, and what the month looks like, all in a written version delivered into your inbox 1 month early, plus my 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine for free, I'm working on having software that will allow you to run birth charts for free. Now, I can't make any guarantees that this will be in place by the time you are listening to this, because it is something I'm working on, but it is things like this that are perks that come along with being on my free email newsletter list. So you'll definitely want to do that at anniehelpsyou.com. If you want simple written horoscopes by me that will give you good details but aren't as technical as some of my other resources, then you can go to my beautiful website, cozybysweetstarlight.com. All of the links that I'm giving you are also in the notes underneath the video. Or if you're listening to the podcast version of this, they're in the notes underneath the podcast. Also, if you would like to have to listen rather than view, if you're driving or if you're not wanting to deal with the mid-roll ads that YouTube is pushing against even the creator's will, then you can check out my new podcast, Astro Kisses with Annie Botticelli. The link for that is in the notes underneath the video as well. You can see my free courses at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. That's my school, Luminous Life Multiversity. So besides having free courses, I also have some paid courses. And if you think I go into lots of details with all of the free things I give you, you should see what the paid offerings look like, especially my course called Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course, which will equip you to do whatever you'd like to do with astrology, whether it's just help your friends and family and not do it professionally, help your own self-development, or become a practicing astrologer. And I also give information on how to make your astrology practice work financially, because I have been a business coach for a long time too, so that gets worked into the course. Okay, so definitely get my book Planetology if you're a fan of my work and you'd like to go deeper and you'd like to align with the natural rhythms of the universe. That's what this book is about. You can find Planetology anywhere and everywhere. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.